Another nail in another nail in my coffin!
Ciao a tutti, sono il vostro amichevole zio Pete de Quartieri. This is my series, Nails in a Coffin, where we learn that da un grande amicerio devono davare anche grandi chiodi. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you are unfamiliar with my Nails in a Coffin series, you can read what it's all about in the section down below, because these aren't film reviews, rather a breakdown of the kills in the movies and evaluate how well the victim responded to their life-threatening situation. This is my Golden Nail Award, something I do at the end of covering all these big franchises such as Puppet Master, Saw, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At the end of covering all those films, I like to hold my Golden Nail Awards, where I talk about the movie with the lowest average nails in a coffin, the movie with the highest average nails in a coffin. I'll rank the films as well as give out my Golden Nail Awards, where I talk about my favorite 1, 2, 3, 4 nail award that I handed out through the entire franchise. Now, granted, this really wasn't a franchise, but it's 10 Giallo films, and the first 10 I've covered, so I'm going to consider this somewhat of a franchise, and I'm going to continue to do that for this episode, so I hope you enjoy. Let's kick things off with talking about the average nails in a coffin for all these films, and you can see this list here. Here's all the 10 films I covered with their average nails in the coffin. And you can see that Stage Fright brought up the bottom with an average of only 1.25 nails in the coffin, so a lot of stupid decisions in that movie. And let's talk about that one first. By the way, Stage Fright never lost the bottom spot. Ever since I covered it, it always held on to that spot. For Stage Fright, you can see here, I only handed out 3 2 nails in a coffin awards. Now, there were a lot of kills in this movie, and the victims, they just kind of stood there, didn't run or fight back at all. You had Ferrari, who tried to bribe the killer, and then he just shrunk into the corner waiting to get killed. Peter also pretty much just gave up after pushing Laurel towards the killer. And I only gave him half a nail. And I said most of the kills were just carnage fodder in this movie. Don't get me wrong, the average doesn't really say how much I enjoyed this movie, because I very much enjoyed Stage Fright. But this movie was more of a classic slasher than your classic Giallo film. I still consider it a Giallo, but it was more slasher orientated than some more traditional Giallos. Still very good, and like I said, the victims really didn't put much of a fight or made a lot of stupid decisions. And the movie with the highest average nails in a coffin was A Bay of Blood, also never losing their spot when I covered it. It was the third film I covered. This movie also had the highest body count throughout my entire Giallo venture, with 13 on-screen kills. Now, the lowest nail rating I gave was 1.5 nails, and that was only 4 times out of the 13. The rest were all 2 nails in a coffin or 2.5 nails in a coffin. And you can see how this film, watching it, how it helped set the stage for early slashers of the 1980s. The victims here pretty much fought not to get killed. They didn't freeze or do nothing. They ran, or they were caught off guard, or they didn't have a chance to do much. And I really didn't see much foolish decisions in this one, which speaks a lot. 1.95 is a pretty high nails in a coffin average for a film with 13 kills. So Bay of Blood did really well. Victims either had no chance to defend themselves, they were caught by surprise. Lovely movie, and I think A Bay of Blood is very deserving of holding the top spot for the highest average nails in a coffin. You can see here, overall, out of the 10 films, there were 93.5 nails that I awarded throughout 59 kills throughout this entire 10 films. So that gives us an overall average for this Giallo genre of 1.59 nails in a coffin. Here's a look how this Giallo genre compared to all the other franchises I've covered on Nails in a Coffin with their overall averages of nails in a coffin. So take a look at right here. I think Giallo is pretty much consistent with all these other big franchises I covered, even matching Halloween. Granted, Halloween had 136 kills. With an overall average of 1.59 nails in a coffin, and Giallo matched that with 59 kills, holding the same average. And you can see all these numbers are pretty consistent, or at least my ratings are pretty consistent. So I just thought that was fairly interesting. I think it's time to rank all these Giallo films. So every Golden Nail Awards, I rank the films in the franchise. Now, like I said, these aren't a franchise, it's a subgenre, but I think it fits. So before I get to number 10 spot, I loved all these movies. There's not a one of them I would not watch again. I enjoy them all. So this really wasn't too easy to rank. You know, when I rank these franchises, there's always one or two movies within an entire franchise that, yeah, that movie wasn't that great. And, that's easy to say. You can all know what those films are. But that wasn't the case here. Ranking these Giallo films, it was one of the hardest franchises I've had to rank because I thoroughly enjoyed all of these films. So, let's get started with my ranking. My number 10 spot, again, I really did enjoy this film. 7 Bloodstained Orchids. I love it. It's just up against movies I liked a little bit better. If I had any criticism, I'd say the ending was a bit of a letdown with Pastor Saunders just falling into the water and never coming back up. So the ending did leave me feeling a little bit unsatisfied. My number 9 film, Stage Fright, also known as Aquarius. I love the owl mask designed for the killer in this film. Very underrated when we talk about masks in the slasher genre. However, this film felt the least like the others. There's not much mystery here. And again, this movie was released in 1987, well after the slasher boom started to dominate the market. And like I said, it follows more closely to a slash than your traditional Giallo, but still a great movie. Number 8, The Case of the Bloody Iris, starring the beautiful Edwidge Fenech. I like the backstory with Jennifer belonging to this Irish sex cult, her leaving and a former lover to get her back. But that's all they really did with that portion. I mean, he didn't really have that much of a role in the film, and I just wish they had done a little bit more with this Irish sex cult. It would have made it a little bit more of an interesting of a film, I believe. Coming in at number 7, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Loved the mystery as to who the killer was, and it was a nice twist at the ending. Very well executed. I liked all of the characters. They had great chemistry. This film is an excellent example of a classic Giallo. A great one to recommend to someone who wants to check these films out. Beautifully shot as well. I hate to put it so low. I just like the other films a little bit more. And yeah, that's going to be the case with a lot of these films with these rankings. Number 6, Hatchet for the Honeymoon. My good buddy Carla recommended this film when I told him I was going to cover some Giallo films. I loved it. It was another one that felt a little less like a Giallo than some of the other films I watched. A bit different, but that's why I feel I liked it a little bit more than some of the previously ranked films. It was just really well done. It wasn't a big mystery, but there still was a mystery in there as far as why the main character was doing these killings. And speaking of the main character, the performance by Stephen Forth as John Harrington, I just thought he was captivating. He commanded his role, and he was absolutely fantastic in this film. So, if you haven't seen Hatchet for the Honeymoon, it's definitely one you should go check out. Numero 5, The Evil Eye. Known as one of the first Giallo films directed by the legend that was Mario Bava. The only black and white movie on this list. This is one of those movies where it's hard to pick out what you liked specifically because you liked everything. I have to give props to Letizia Roman as Nora. She was absolutely breathtaking in this movie. She commanded the screen. Her performance about feeling like she's crazy and she's all stressed out from everything happening to her, trying to do this investigation. Yeah, I was just captivated by her this entire time. Her performances felt really very real and not like someone who was just acting. You had an early appearance by Nancy's dad, John Saxon, in this film as well. It was a great story, great mystery in it, so well executed. Yeah, definitely. I can see how this movie started as Giallo boom because I thoroughly loved this film. Numero 4. A movie that could be in many people's number 1 spot for their favorite Giallo. Deep Red. I mean, this film deserves to be in a number 1 spot on many people's list. I love the score, the cast, the plot, the mystery, the twist. It's a fantastic film, and it's a landmark in this Giallo genre. Like, I don't want to talk too much about it because I could talk about everything great in this movie. Yeah, it's a highly recommended Giallo for a reason, and it is in my number 4 spot. Numero 3. Don't Torture a Duckling. What captivated me on this film was the setting and the score. It was beautifully shot, and the way the music sold the setting was just absolutely breathtaking. The way it moved along with the characters and enhanced what they were feeling, bringing you into the moment. When Machada was beaten by those men with chains and left for dead, she climbs back up this hill, crawling to the spot where her son was buried. It was just so well done. The story here was pretty original. A priest killing youth before they could have a chance to sin. I like that part quite a bit. And I have to mention Barbara Brochet as Patrizia. Another person where I was just hypnotized by her performance when she was on the screen. Everybody else felt secondary. This was, I think, the second time I've watched this film, and I think I enjoyed it more on a second watch through, just because the setting was so beautiful, the score, Patrizia, the plot. Yeah, another film I thoroughly enjoyed, more than I thought I would. I was a little bit surprised it was so high on this list, but yeah, I just really enjoyed it a ton. Don't torture a duckling. Numero due, A Blade in the Dark. I loved how all the kills in this film were different from the others. Also, the way each victim was wearing something yellow or was involved with something yellow in the scene where they were killed. Intentional and subtle, something you can appreciate more on multiple viewings. This film followed the classic Giallo formula. Protagonist is an artist of some type. The killer cloaked in darkness with black leather gloves. The mystery of it. The specific use of lighting on the sets. As previously mentioned, the use of colors throughout the film. Just a wonderful movie where I find it hard to pick out any blatant flaws or things I didn't enjoy. And this was one of the first Giallo films I watched, and it's just kind of stuck with me as a film I really enjoy. A Blade in the Dark. Numero uno, A Bay of Blood. I feel it's a bit cliche picking this movie as my number one, since it's one of the best known Giallos, but it's just that good of a movie. Of course, directed by the legend that is Mario Bava. I love the mystery in this film. You can't trust anybody. Everybody here in this film is a selfish asshole, only interested in the property so they can get rich. The film can get a little confusing to keep track of everybody, and you really don't know who to root for in this movie. But that's kind of what I loved about it, because it kept you on your toes. The cinematography is just excellent. The close-up shots of people's faces and their eyes. It's done so well at the right moment, and it really sells these scenes excellently. And then you got this ending, a total out of left field ending where the kids thought their parents were playing dead after shooting them with the shotgun. And the credits roll, it's this happy music. Yeah, without a doubt, you can see how this film is very much responsible for the slasher boom of the 80s. Directed by the legend that is Mario Bava. Yeah, it's just one of my favorite films, horror films I've ever seen, and definitely my favorite is Giallo, Mario Bava's A Bay of Blood. Let's wrap this baby up with my Golden Nail Awards. For all the kills in these 10 films, I gave out a lot of nails. So I'm going to award the Golden Nail for my favorite 1 nail, 2 nail, and 3 nail kills in this group. Can't give out a Golden Full Nail Award because I didn't give out that many nails. So, something I changed a little bit. If someone receives a half a nail, I'm going to round up to the next full nail. So, if I awarded somebody 2.5 nails in a coffin, they are eligible for the Golden 3 Nail Award. Let's start with the Golden 1 Nail Award. Now, I gave out 15 1 Nail Awards, and my favorite of all of them was the first victim I nailed when I started my Giallo watches. From A Blade in the Dark, the winner of the Golden 1 Nail Award goes to Katya. This is the one that just kind of stood out to me for an entire walkthrough. She was running from the killer through these passageways that were under construction. She also wasn't really running. She was more shuffling her feet along. And then she chooses to hide behind a wall, half-built section of drywall. There was no hiding. She was looking through a mesh portion. Then the killer comes at her with the knife, and as if she didn't see him till he was 3 inches in front of her. It was silly, but it was well shot, well acted, and I just loved it. It's the one that stuck out to me. The one that started this genre walkthrough, Katya from A Blade in the Dark. The winner of my Golden 2 Nail Award from The Case of the Bloody Iris, Sheila. I like this one a lot, and what I liked was that I don't think she was the intended target. The killer, Professor Isaacs, Sheila's father, was trying to kill Jennifer. It was a more unique way of killing someone than the rest of the other kills in this genre. Most kills are from sharp weapons, a beating, or strangulation. I think it was an original way to kill somebody. Remember, this was back in 1972, a good number of years before the classic slasher where people just get sliced and diced all over the place. And I like that she was just killed, burnt to death via steam, and she wasn't the intended target. And out of all the 2 Nail Awards I've given, it just kind of stood out to me, and that's why I feel Sheila is deserving of my Golden 2 Nail Award. I only gave out 3 2.5 nails in a coffin to the victims in this genre. I didn't give out any 3 nail in a coffin kills. So we're rounding up, and I'm going to award my Golden 3 Nail Award to Brunhilde from A Bay of Blood. She was an early kill in this excellent film. Granted, there wasn't too much competition in this category, but even if it was, I still would, I think I would have had her at a top spot. I just really liked this kill. You know, she didn't really make any foolish decisions here. She found the body in the lake. She got the hell out of the water, put her clothes back on, and ran back to where her friends were. They weren't there, so she kept running, only to get caught and killed. She didn't really waste too much time here. She didn't freeze in place, and she actually had somewhat of a survival instinct. So, looking through all the kills that I've seen throughout this not franchise, but this genre, well, 59, I believe I said it was, and this was the one that stood out to me as one of the higher ratings, I should say, I gave, and the winner of the Golden 3-Nail Award goes to Brunhilde. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That wraps up my Golden Nail Awards for 10 wonderful Giallo films. I've covered big franchises on my channel. Friday the 13th, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Puppet Master, Saw, Hatchet, Child's Play. Now, if I were to rank all those franchises as a whole from the ones I covered, I felt that the Giallo section would be really close to the top. Definitely in the top half, since I enjoyed all of these movies. Because even with the big franchises, like I mentioned earlier, there's always going to be one or two movies at least in a franchise that someone's not just the biggest fan of. But I thoroughly enjoyed all these films, and I would watch any of them again right away. And I promise you, I will surely cover another group of Giallo films on Nails in a Coffin in the future. Thanks for watching. I'm going to cover some fun standalone films in the next few weeks. Then I'm going to tackle a trilogy of films. It's an iconic trilogy, and I've only covered one movie, I believe, in this subgenre of horror. There's a hint somewhere in this video as to what that trilogy will be, and if you have a guess, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know, all the usual stuff. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. Share this video out with people you think would like it. I'd really love that. So, I'll see you here in a couple weeks. Till then, take care, stay safe, and be good to each other. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. Remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.